The cool autumn air hung over Auburn, Alabama on October 23, 2019. For most college students, it was just another Wednesday night. For 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard, it would be her last. Security cameras at a local convenience store captured her final public moments. A routine stop that should have been forgettable. In the same footage, a man watches her, calculating his next move. By midnight, Aniah had texted her roommate that she was on her way home. She never arrived. Her black Honda CR-V, usually parked outside her apartment, was nowhere to be found. No calls answered. No messages returned. The clock ticked as her family's concern transformed into terror. Within 24 hours, her damaged vehicle would be discovered 55 miles away in Montgomery, blood staining the passenger seat and a bullet hole marking the door. Aniah Haley Blanchard wasn't just another statistic. She was a vibrant soul with an infectious laugh that could light up any room. A former softball star at Homewood High School, she had graduated in 2018 with dreams of becoming a teacher and coach. Her kindness was legendary among friends and family. The daughter of Angela Haley Harris, a forensic nurse, and stepdaughter of UFC fighter Walt Harris, Aniah had a supportive foundation and a promising path ahead. At Southern Union State Community College, she was working toward transferring to Auburn University, balancing studies with her passion for helping others. Her mother often said Aniah put everyone else first, a quality that defined her short life. With her warm smile and natural leadership abilities, she inspired teammates and classmates alike. Her softball jersey number now hangs retired at her high school, a silent reminder of a bright future violently cut short. Before we continue this heartbreaking journey, I need you to stay with me. What happened to Aniah could happen to anyone. The details I'm about to share might save your life or someone you love. Hit subscribe now and turn on notifications. This is one story you can't afford to miss. What makes this case particularly disturbing isn't just the brutal murder of a beloved young woman. It's how preventable it was. The man who took Aniah's life, Ibrahim Yazid, should never have been free that night. Despite facing charges of kidnapping and attempted murder in an unrelated case, a broken bail system allowed him to walk the streets. The investigation would reveal shocking surveillance footage, a desperate manhunt across state lines, and a community's relentless search for answers. Most chilling of all, Aniah's death would expose critical flaws in Alabama's legal system, flaws that her grieving family would later fight to fix through groundbreaking legislation. This isn't just a story about a heinous crime. It's about systemic failures, a family's unimaginable strength, and how one young woman's tragic end created a powerful legacy that continues to protect countless others. This is the story of Aniah Blanchard. Born in 2000, Aniah Haley Blanchard grew up in Homewood, a close-knit suburb of Birmingham, Alabama. Her family was the center of her world, particularly her mother Angela Haley Harris, who worked as a forensic nurse specializing in sexual assault cases. This connection would later prove tragically ironic, as Angela had spent decades helping victims of violent crimes, only to lose her daughter to one. Aniah shared a special bond with her younger brother, often driving him around Auburn where she attended college. Her stepfather, Walt Harris, a prominent UFC fighter, brought additional stability and support to her life. Friends described the family as exceptionally close, with regular check-ins and shared activities being the norm. Those who knew Aniah often commented on her inherited strength. Her mother's compassion and her stepfather's determination flowed through her veins. Yet she maintained her own distinct identity, characterized by a joyful spirit that family members say was evident from her earliest days. At Homewood High School, Aniah distinguished herself both in the classroom and on the softball field.
And she was just so funny and so sweet and so caring. She was just the best. And I don't know, she was our best friend. Even though she's our daughter, she was our best friend. She was just the life of our family, to be honest with you.
Graduating in 2018, she had earned the respect of teachers for her academic dedication and of coaches for her athletic prowess. On the diamond, she wasn't just skilled. She was a natural leader who elevated her teammates' performance. Her softball coach once noted that Aniah played with both heart and intelligence, qualities that made her invaluable to the team. These same attributes served her well at Southern Union State Community College, where she maintained strong grades while planning her transfer to Auburn University's education program. Aniah's career aspirations reflected her nurturing nature. She planned to become an elementary school teacher and softball coach, combining her love for education with her passion for sports. Friends recall her talking enthusiastically about creating classroom environments where every child felt valued and capable. Her mother shared that Aniah wanted to make a difference in children's lives, particularly those facing challenges. She believed in the power of positive reinforcement and planned to use sports as a vehicle to build confidence in young girls. Even in college, she volunteered at local youth softball clinics, already practicing the mentorship role she hoped to make her life's work. Aniah's impact on Homewood remains palpable years after her death. Her high school retired her softball jersey number in a ceremony attended by hundreds. Each year, a scholarship in her name helps a deserving student-athlete pursue higher education. Her hometown continues to honor her memory with an annual community service day. Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019 began as an ordinary day for Aniah Blanchard. She attended classes at Southern Union State Community College and later drove her brother around Auburn. Around 11:30 that night, security cameras at a Chevron gas station on South College Street captured her entering the store. This mundane errand would become a crucial timestamp in the investigation. Unknown to Aniah, another customer in the store was watching her, Ibrahim Yazid, a man with a history of violent offenses. The footage shows him observing her movements before exiting. What happened next occurred away from cameras, but witnesses would later report seeing Yazid force Aniah into her own vehicle against her will.
It's been a solemn week for communities in central Alabama as families reflect on 2 deadly kidnappings 5 years later. Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Sherry Falk. Guy has the night off. In 2019, authorities found the body of 3-year-old Camille Cupcake McKinney in a Birmingham landfill. This was 10 days after she was taken from a front yard outside of Tom Brown Village. Just 1 day later, 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard was kidnapped at an Auburn gas station. Her mother, Angela Harris, says she once spoke with Aniah about Camille's death.
And I saw that she was found, and I fell on the floor crying like she was my own child. And I called Aniah immediately. She was so devastated. And then the very next day, it happened to her.
32 days later, Aniah's body was finally found. WVTM 13's Gladys Bautista joins us live in Homewood tonight after attending a vigil for her on this somber anniversary. Gladys, her mother says that she is still seeking justice.
Yes, and that was something that came up here as more than a dozen people gathered in Homewood for this emotional vigil.
Hugs and tears Wednesday at Homewood Central Park as Aniah Blanchard's mother, Angela Harris.
We miss you and we love you, Aniah.
Her family and friends gathered to remember her.
Aniah was so loved by so many people. The people that were her best friends, the people in the community, but also people that didn't even know her.
5 years to the day she was kidnapped.
It just feels like it's been 5 minutes since she was here. It's gone by so fast. I can't believe it's been 5 years at all.
This day back in 2019 was the start of a 32-day search that ended when Aniah's body was found. Through the devastation, Harris has kept her daughter's name alive through the nonprofit Aniah's Heart and getting Aniah's Law passed. The law allows judges to deny bond to violent criminals, and now Harris has even bigger plans for its impact.
I want Aniah's Law to be a national law, and that's something that I'm trying to work on with some people right now. I think it should be at every state.
But beyond the action of keeping Aniah's name alive in the form of safety education and legislation, grief still bears heavy on this group. 6 others who lost their lives in the month of October were also honored, including Camille Cupcake McKinney and Harris's baby boy Darian, who died 28 years ago after a violent car crash. This is the first vigil Aniah and Darian's father, Elijah Blanchard, has been able to bring himself to since losing his daughter.
And just seeing all the love just drawn in, it just brings joy to my heart.
Now, the next step Harris is looking forward to is going to court to see her daughter's alleged killer, Ibrahim Yazid, stand trial.
Me and my family, we're ready, and so we just want it to happen so we can we can finally get that justice for her.
And Harris says justice to her is seeing a jury find Yazid guilty and sentencing him to death.
He killed my beautiful daughter, and he was a repeat violent offender, and that's what he deserves.
In 2022, Ibrahim Yazid was indicted in the kidnapping and murder of Aniah Blanchard. His trial was originally set for next February, but it's been pushed to next spring. No exact date has been set, but prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. Live in Homewood for you tonight, I'm Gladys Bautista, WVTM 13.
At approximately midnight, Aniah texted her roommate that she was heading home. This was the last communication anyone would receive from her. When morning came and she hadn't returned to her apartment, friends became concerned. Her pattern of regular communication with family had suddenly stopped. No calls were answered. No texts returned. By Thursday afternoon, October 24th, the silence had become alarming enough that her family reported her missing to the Auburn Police Department. Officers immediately began gathering information, reviewing her last known movements, and interviewing those who had recently been in contact with her. On Friday, October 25th, investigators located Aniah's black 2017 Honda CR-V at an apartment complex in Montgomery, Alabama, 55 miles from where she was last seen. The discovery intensified concerns about her safety. The vehicle showed significant damage that hadn't been there when she was driving it, including dents and scrapes on the passenger side.
We're going to get justice. It might not be this year, but maybe next year. But we are going to get justice for Aniah.
5 years ago today, someone kidnapped 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard from a convenience store in Auburn. Police found the young woman from Homewood several weeks later.
And while you saw some frustration from her mom about the fact that her accused killer still has not gone to trial, tonight's vigil in Aniah Blanchard's honor was also about remembering her and other people whose lives were changed or ended by violent crime. Your reporter Josh Gant here with a message from her mom that she wants everyone to hear, Josh.
Yeah, Brittany, Steve, the family continues to wait for justice for their daughter, Aniah, who they say was the definition of joy. Just a short time ago, Aniah's family and friends lighting candles, singing songs, and praying at Homewood Park. It comes 5 years after police say Blanchard was abducted and killed. After a lengthy search, her remains were found in the woods in Macon County. Aniah's family says they don't want anyone to forget how she lived and that they are doing everything that they can to make sure her killer is finally brought to justice.
We're going to get justice. It might not be this year, but maybe next year. But we are going to get justice for Aniah. And until we do, we're not going to give up fighting. We're still going to fight. We're still going to remember her every time we get a chance. And even after that.
I was just led here tonight just because I just need to be more vocal. And with her not having justice yet, I want to get the word out for us to try to figure out some resolution to find out what happened to my daughter.
And we're told the trial for Ibrahim Yazid, the man who police say killed Aniah, has been delayed for the third time. We're told that new trial could get underway sometime in the spring of 2025. Angela Harris says Aniah speaks to her often, telling her don't forget about the others. So tonight, Harris called out other victims' names to never forget them as well.
More disturbing was what crime scene technicians found inside. Blood on the passenger seat that testing would later confirm belonged to Aniah. Forensic analysis indicated the amount of blood suggested a life-threatening injury. A bullet hole was also discovered in the door panel. Items from her purse were scattered throughout the vehicle, indicating a struggle had taken place. The condition of the car transformed what might have been treated as a missing person case into a suspected abduction with strong evidence of violence.
New information tonight in news we've been following out of Auburn. Detectives now say foul play is being considered as a possibility in the case of missing 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard from Homewood. Blanchard is a Southern Union State Community College student that's right in the Auburn area. She was first reported missing October 24th. Last night, her car, a black Honda CR-V, was recovered at an apartment complex off of Atlanta Highway in Montgomery. Auburn police and Montgomery police worked to process the vehicle at the scene. If you have any information about Blanchard's whereabouts, you're urged to call the Auburn Police Department.
If you have any leads on where our daughter is, Aniah Blanchard, please
go to the authorities, tell someone she was last seen in a black Honda CRV 2017. Tag is B49 B2356 BS 356. I'm sorry. She was possibly last seen downtown at downtown Auburn, Southeastern, and Sky Bar. If you have any information, please come forward.
Law enforcement immediately secured the area and processed the vehicle for additional evidence, including fingerprints and DNA. The discovery of Aniah's damaged vehicle triggered an immediate escalation in search efforts. Auburn Police Department issued a public alert with her description and photo, which quickly spread across social media platforms. Within days, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency issued a statewide emergency missing person alert. As news of her disappearance spread, local volunteers organized search parties that combed areas between Auburn and Montgomery. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security joined the investigation, bringing additional resources and expertise. Digital forensics teams analyzed Aniah's phone records and social media accounts for potential leads. The UFC community rallied around Walt Harris, Aniah's stepfather, with UFC President Dana White contributing $25,000 to a reward fund. This amount quickly grew as other fighters, celebrities, and concerned citizens added contributions. Within a week, the reward for information leading to Aniah's whereabouts exceeded $100,000, reflecting the case's growing national attention. For Aniah's family, the nightmare unfolded with agonizing speed. Her mother Angela, with her background in forensic nursing, understood the implications of the blood evidence all too well. Walt Harris immediately withdrew from an upcoming UFC fight to focus on finding his stepdaughter. The family maintained a constant presence at the command center established for the search operations. They gave emotional interviews to media outlets, pleading for information and Aniah's safe return. Angela later described this period as existing in a fog of terror, functioning on minimal sleep while trying to process the unthinkable. Despite their personal anguish, the family became the driving force behind the search efforts. The investigation into Aniah's disappearance quickly grew into one of the largest multi-agency efforts in Alabama's recent history. Auburn Police Department led the case, with crucial support from Montgomery Police, Alabama State Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and U.S. Marshal Service. Each agency brought specialized resources. Local departments provided knowledge of the area. State investigators coordinated evidence processing. Federal agents contributed advanced forensic capabilities and interstate authority. Daily briefings kept all teams aligned on new developments. The collaborative approach proved essential as the investigation spanned multiple jurisdictions. Investigators worked around the clock, following leads, interviewing witnesses, and processing evidence with unprecedented urgency, knowing that time was a critical factor in finding Aniah. Surveillance tips flooded in identifying the man as Ibrahim Yazid, a 30-year-old with an extensive criminal history. A witness came forward reporting they had seen Yazid forcing Aniah into her vehicle against her will in the convenience store parking lot. Crucial testimony that confirmed investigators' suspicions. Forensic analysis of the abandoned Honda strengthened the case. Yazid's DNA was found on Aniah's bloodstained clothing recovered from the vehicle. Cell phone records place both Aniah's and Yazid's phones traveling the same route toward Montgomery at the same time on the night of her disappearance. On November 7th, 2 weeks after Aniah vanished, authorities issued a warrant for Yazid's arrest on first-degree kidnapping charges. His name and image were broadcast nationwide. The Auburn Police Department statement was unambiguous. Yazid was considered dangerous and potentially armed. The public was warned not to approach him, but to contact law enforcement immediately with any information. Are you paying attention to your surroundings when you're alone at night? Would you recognize the warning signs if someone was watching you? Could you protect yourself if approached? These aren't hypothetical questions. They're life-saving considerations. Stay with us to learn the critical safety lessons from Aniah's case that everyone needs to know. The most outrageous aspect of Yazid's involvement was that he should never have been free to harm Aniah. At the time of her abduction, he was out on bond for attempted murder, kidnapping, and robbery in an unrelated January 2019 case where he allegedly beat a man nearly to death. and held him captive. Despite this violent history and multiple prior arrests for offenses, including robbery and drug charges, Alabama's bail laws allowed his release on a $280,000 bond. His criminal record stretched back to 2011, with charges including assault, battery, and possession of firearms. Most disturbing was a 2018 kidnapping case, where charges were dropped when the victim became too frightened to testify. This pattern of escalating violence represented repeated failures of the justice system to protect the public from a clearly dangerous individual. Each release allowed Yazid to find new victims, with Aniah becoming the tragic culmination of these systemic failures. With Yazid identified and charged, a multi-state manhunt ensued. Investigators tracked him to Pensacola, Florida, approximately 100 miles from Auburn. On November 7th, U.S. Marshals cornered him at a highway rest stop off Interstate 10. When approached, Yazid attempted to flee, but was quickly apprehended. He reportedly suffered injuries during the arrest, requiring medical treatment before transport. Within 24 hours, he was extradited back to Alabama and booked into Lee County Jail, held without bond.
Blanchard stretches into day 5. Police released new surveillance video that might help the case in regards to her last whereabouts here at the Chevron gas station, as her parents continue to cry out for answers.
The prosecution has built their case methodically, focusing on 3 key elements: physical evidence linking Yazid to the crime, witness testimony placing him with Aniah, and establishing his intent. They've secured cooperation from 2 other individuals initially charged in connection with the case, Antoine Squirmy Fisher and David Johnson Jr., whose charges were later dismissed in exchange for testimony against Yazid. Prosecutors have also compiled Yazid's extensive criminal history to demonstrate a pattern of escalating violence. Their strategy appears designed to leave no room for reasonable doubt, presenting overwhelming evidence of both the crime itself and Yazid's sole responsibility for Aniah's death. The loss of Aniah devastated her family in ways words struggle to capture. Her mother, Angela, described the grief as a physical pain that never subsides. Walt Harris, her stepfather, spoke openly about his struggles with depression and suicidal thoughts in the aftermath. In interviews, he revealed that only his faith and responsibility to his other children kept him going during the darkest days. The family's grief transformed into purpose as they channeled their pain into advocacy. Angela, drawing on her background as a forensic nurse, became particularly vocal about the failures in the justice system that allowed Yazid to be free. Rather than retreating from public view, the family made the conscious decision to ensure Aniah's death would lead to meaningful change. They began speaking at schools and community centers about situational awareness and personal safety, determined that other families might be spared similar tragedy. The communities of Auburn, Homewood, and beyond rallied around Aniah's family with extraordinary support. Thousands attended candlelight vigils held in her memory, with the Auburn campus hosting the largest gathering where students, faculty, and community members shared stories of Aniah's impact on their lives. The UFC community provided both emotional and financial support, with fighters dedicating matches to her memory. Homewood High School retired Aniah's softball jersey number in an emotional ceremony, establishing a permanent memorial in the school's athletic complex. Local businesses in both Auburn and Homewood displayed blue ribbons, Aniah's favorite color, and Justice for Aniah signs remained in windows long after her death. Perhaps most touching were the spontaneous memorials that appeared at the Chevron station where she was last seen, with flowers, photos, and handwritten notes covering the entrance for months. The annual Blue for Aniah Day, observed on her birthday, has become a tradition in both communities, with buildings illuminated in blue light to honor her memory. In the wake of Aniah's murder, her family transformed grief into action by advocating for legislative change to address the bail system that had failed their daughter. Working with Alabama lawmakers, they helped draft Aniah's law, designed to close the loophole that had allowed Yazid to walk free despite his violent history. The bill was introduced in early 2020 and gained immediate bipartisan support in the Alabama legislature. Despite delays caused by the pandemic, the measure passed unanimously in both chambers in April 2021. Governor Kay Ivey signed it into law in June of that year, but because it required amending the state constitution, it needed voter approval. In November 2022, Alabama voters overwhelmingly supported the constitutional amendment, with over 80% voting in favor. Throughout this process, Angela Haley Harris testified before legislative committees, sharing Aniah's story and highlighting how the existing bail system had directly contributed to her daughter's death. Aniah's law fundamentally transformed Alabama's bail procedures by expanding judges' authority to deny bail to defendants charged with violent crimes. Before this legislation, Alabama's Constitution only allowed judges to deny bail in capital cases where the proof is evident or the presumption great. The new law extended this authority to cover a range of violent felonies, including murder, kidnapping, rape, domestic violence, human trafficking, robbery, sexual torture, and assault. Under Aniah's law, judges can now hold pretrial detention hearings where prosecutors must demonstrate clear and convincing evidence that the defendant poses a threat to public safety or a flight risk. The law maintains constitutional protections by requiring these hearings within 72 hours of arrest and allowing defendants legal representation. This balanced approach addresses public safety concerns while preserving due process rights. The impact of Aniah's law on public safety has been significant and measurable. In the first year following implementation, Alabama courts denied bail in over 100 cases involving violent offenders who would previously have been released. Law enforcement officials credit the law with preventing potential repeat offenses and protecting vulnerable victims, particularly in domestic violence cases. Prosecutors report that the law has eliminated the frustration of seeing dangerous defendants walk free only to commit additional crimes while awaiting trial. While no legislation can bring Aniah back, her name now represents protection for countless potential victims who will never know the danger they might have faced. Perhaps the most meaningful legacy possible from such a tragic loss. Situational awareness represents our first line of defense against potential threats. Angela Haley Harris often emphasizes this concept in her presentations, noting that her daughter's biggest fear, being kidnapped, tragically became reality. Situational awareness means being constantly mindful of your surroundings and potential dangers. This includes limiting distractions like headphones or phone use while in public spaces, particularly at night or in isolated areas. Experts recommend maintaining a condition yellow mindset, relaxed but alert, scanning your environment regularly for anything unusual. This doesn't mean living in fear, but rather developing habits that become second nature. Notice who enters a space after you. Check the back seat before entering your vehicle, and trust your instincts when something feels wrong. Angela shares that predators like Yazid specifically look for distracted targets who aren't paying attention to their surroundings. Simple awareness can deter potential attackers who prefer easy targets over those who appear alert and prepared. Self-defense begins long before physical confrontation becomes necessary. The first strategy is avoidance, changing your route, returning to a populated area, or seeking help if you sense danger. If confrontation becomes unavoidable, experts recommend creating distance and using your voice, shouting specific commands like "stay back" rather than screaming. Physical self-defense techniques focus on creating opportunities to escape rather than winning a fight. Target vulnerable areas like eyes, throat, and groin with maximum force, then flee immediately. Carrying legal personal safety tools, like pepper spray, can provide an advantage, but only if readily accessible and you're trained in their use. The Blanchard family now advocates for self-defense training as essential education, particularly for young women. Through Aniah's Heart, they sponsor classes teaching practical techniques that don't require exceptional strength or athletic ability. These courses emphasize that fighting back significantly increases survival chances in abduction attempts. Statistics show that resistance within the first few seconds is critical. Recognizing warning signs might have saved Aniah's life. Predatory behavior often follows identifiable patterns that we can learn to spot. Red flags include someone watching you too intently, appearing in multiple locations you visit, asking overly personal questions, or invading your personal space. Particularly concerning is when someone tries to isolate you or separate you from friends. In Aniah's case, surveillance footage showed Yazid watching her in the store before following her outside. Other warning signs include someone trying to create false trust or obligation, offering unwanted help, or creating scenarios to test boundaries. Predators often employ grooming behaviors to assess how easily someone might be manipulated. They frequently use alcohol or drugs to compromise potential victims' judgment and physical capabilities. Understanding these tactics allows potential victims to recognize danger before it escalates to violence. The Blanchard family emphasizes that recognizing these patterns isn't about paranoia, but about informed caution. For comprehensive safety resources, visit aniahsheart.org for free training videos, safety checklists, and local self-defense class information. The RAINN hotline, 800-656-HOPE, provides 24/7 support for assault victims, while the SafeTrek app connects users to emergency services with one button press. From the depths of unimaginable grief, Angela Haley Harris established Aniah's Heart Foundation in 2020, creating a living legacy for her daughter.
My right, I got rights too.
Well, the capital murder charge that is involved with a death occurring during a kidnapping, the probable cause for that has been amended to state what is on the warrant. Each of them satisfy probable cause to charge you with the crime. The second capital murder charge involves the shooting with a firearm inside a vehicle, and that itself can constitute capital murder, as I'm sure your lawyer has told you.
But they don't have no video, no audio of me shooting anyone. That's what I'm trying to see, how y'all gonna bind me over on hearsay, but y'all ain't presenting no evidence. And then now there's a whole different statement. There's a whole different convenience store you saying. So why the kidnapping and all that did not get dismissed?
I'm not a law enforcement officer, and I'm not going to argue their case for you. What's on the probable cause warrant does satisfy the issuance of the warrant, and I have done that. And these conversations would be better had with your lawyer outside the presence of a courtroom.
The Foundation's mission centers on 3 core pillars: education, prevention, and support. Through free workshops and online resources, Aniah's Heart teaches situational awareness and practical self-defense techniques to vulnerable populations, particularly young women and college students. The Foundation visits campuses across Alabama and neighboring states, conducting hands-on training sessions that have reached thousands of participants. Beyond physical safety, the organization provides resources for families of missing persons, offering guidance on working with law enforcement, organizing community searches, and navigating the overwhelming emotional terrain of such crises. Angela often says the Foundation's name reflects both her daughter's compassionate nature and their commitment to protecting the hearts of other families from similar tragedy. The organization operates entirely on donations and volunteer support, with every dollar going directly to programming rather than administrative costs. The impact of Aniah's Heart extends far beyond statistics, though those are impressive. Over 15,000 individuals trained, 35 campuses visited, and countless online resources accessed. The true measure of success comes through individual stories. In 2022, a college sophomore in Georgia credited her Aniah's Heart training with helping her escape an attempted abduction in a parking garage. She recognized the warning signs, employed the defensive techniques she had learned, and successfully fled to safety. The Foundation has also assisted in organizing search efforts for missing persons, including the 2023 case of a missing teenager in Montgomery who was located alive within 48 hours thanks to the coordinated volunteer response. Perhaps most powerful are the testimonials from families who have found solace and purpose through the Foundation's support groups. One mother whose daughter was recovered safely wrote that Aniah's Heart gave us hope when we had none, and practical guidance when we felt lost. Through these tangible impacts, Aniah's spirit continues to protect and nurture others, a fitting tribute to a young woman who always put others first. Aniah Blanchard's life was tragically cut short at just 19 years old, but her impact continues to grow with each passing year. Through Aniah's law, countless potential victims have been protected from dangerous offenders who would otherwise walk free. Through Aniah's Heart Foundation, thousands have learned life-saving skills and awareness. through her family's tireless advocacy. Systems are changing to better protect the vulnerable. What began as an unthinkable tragedy has transformed into a powerful force for good. Not because such transformation is easy or inevitable, but because those who loved Aniah refused to let her death be meaningless. Her legacy reminds us that even our darkest moments can become catalysts for positive change when we channel grief into purpose. If this story moved you, please hit the like button and subscribe to Explosive True Crime Stories. Your engagement helps us reach more people with these crucial safety lessons. Share this video with someone you care about, especially young women in your life who might benefit from these awareness strategies. Comment below with your thoughts or questions about personal safety. The pursuit of justice for Aniah continues as her case moves toward trial, but true justice extends beyond courtrooms. It lives in the lives saved through prevention, in communities made safer through awareness, and in each of us who refuses to look away from difficult truths that might protect others.
You together fought to change things in Alabama so that other people wouldn't go through what you're going through. As I understand it, at the time that Aniah was killed, Alabama law said that only capital murder suspects could be denied bail, but this suspect was out on bond for kidnapping and attempted murder and robbery, but not a capital crime. That's different now, right? That's changed.
Yes, ma'am. Aniah's law is a law that gives judges the opportunity to keep violent offenders behind bars. They have a hearing process. They present evidence that either on the side of keeping them or the side of letting them go, and the judge makes a decision based on what he's hearing. And there's been a amazing amount, amazing amount of judges that are using it to keep violent offenders off the street.